my way to the freaking store. Um, I just got through looking at a video, not a video, but reading a post on Facebook. McGrady said, Tracy McGrady, one of my favorite players of all time in the NBA. No disrespect, no hate to McGrady. He's still one of my favorite players of all time. Great scorer. He reminded me of Kobe Bryant before Kobe Bryant became Kobe Bryant. He just got a little lazy, and it's just like he didn't want to become great. He's a Hall of Famer, but it's like he didn't want to become great, like great, winning titles. So I'll always have respect for Tracy McGrady, regardless of what anybody say about Tracy McGrady. He will always get my respect and my love because he's one of the greatest players of all time. Now, he said something that really blew my mind about LeBron. He said if LeBron James would have played in the triangle, he would have been a great player. He would have been a Hall of Famer, or he would have been the GOAT. Now, a lot of people don't know anything about the triangle because the triangle really didn't start from Phil Jackson. Everybody knows Tex Winters created the triangle offense. He did it when he was in college, when he was coaching college. And really blew my mind that a lot of these basketball players from the past are coming out talking bad about Kobe Bryant and still have this hate towards Michael Jordan for some reason because they are still considering Michael Jordan as the GOAT and also considering Kobe right behind him. And, they're taking LeBron and dropping LeBron out of the top five. Well, a lot of people are because LeBron James been saying a lot of stuff that really blows your mind. Okay, LeBron's an all-time leading scorer. He all these had these stats and accolades. He's played for over 20 years. Okay, good. There's a lot easier methods to play in this league today than it did back in the 80s and 90s because a lot of players got their bodies beaten up during that era. People don't understand how physical that era was unless they were raised in that era to watch basketball. This is how physical the era was. It wasn't just physical to the NBA players, it was physical in college, high school, and even street basketball. The game was physical. And people don't understand what physicality really means. Not being thrown to the floor, not being punched on. It's just the wear and tear of the body. Because players didn't play less games. They played over 82 games in even the playoffs. They grinded. And the thing about it is that a lot of these players of the past knows this, but I'm thinking that they're so caught on the spectacle of the game today of the three-point shot, what really is the worst shot ever to take for me, because me growing up, I always believed that the jump shot is the best shot. And I was watching NBA 2K video game, and I don't know, her name is Sarah Burke. I know her last name is Burke, but she said one thing that blew my mind, that a lot of players are staying away from the jump shot. It's like the jump shot, they don't want to take time to use like the DeRozan and many other basketball players like a Chris Paul, Murray, and some players that love the jump shot because the jump shot is much easier to grab rebounds and much easier to attack the basket off a pick and roll and many other things you can use with the jump shot. The 3-point shot to me is a higher percentage shot. It's the most missed shot in NBA history. And a lot of people know that, but they'll take the 3-point shot before they take the two, which the two is the most easiest shot to take because it's closer to the basket. And it's a higher percentage shot. Knowing the 3-point shot is a lower percentage shot because you're shooting for a further distance. Now, the triangle offense, which blows my mind about a lot of people thinking that everybody can play in the triangle offense, which is not true. Because when Jordan started in the triangle offense, he really didn't play well. Because Jordan is so used to having the ball in his hand, creating off his own dribble. He didn't want to be in that type of offense because he had to pass the basketball. And when you are in a triangle, most likely you're going to be in a post. Jordan was basically played small forward slash like, two guard. But what blows my mind when people say that anybody can play in these offenses, like LeBron James is not a back to the basket player. He really wasn't a great player with his back to the basket. That means he wasn't a post player. He's a player that can bring the ball up and create off with his eyes by passing the ball through people cutting to the basket like backdoor or coming to the basketball or creating off a pick and roll. LeBron James was never a post player. He started being more of a post player as he got older. So he had to get in the post because he was getting a lot of double teams. And LeBron had to start creating, off the post, but he never played in the triangle because that's not his offense because he didn't have the players to play in a triangle. Now, LeBron James could probably play in a triangle now, because like I said, because LeBron James probably is more of a post player now than he was back then. But one thing about what Michael and Kobe always would do, they're face-up post players. That means they can face to the back. They can have their back to the basket. Also, they can turn around and face towards the basket and create off their dribble like spin moves, pump fakes, And LeBron James is not that type of player. LeBron James is not a person that can get in the post and fake you and get you off your feet. He never was that type of player. LeBron James is more turn around, running the basket, use his body to create, him getting to the foul line. But the triangle offense is more of passing. And you have three on one side and you probably have two on the other. LeBron James will have to get in the post and he will have to create off his post play. That means players will stay on that 3 point line to help LeBron get the double team off of him. That means, say, if LeBron was in the post and you had Rod Harper and you had Horace Grant in the post on the side, stacking that 3 point line. LeBron will be in the post. LeBron James will have to wait for the double team to come, pass the ball, get the ball back in the post, and he had to recreate his shot, which would be hard for him. But if you have cutters, which it will probably be great for him in the triangle because you got a lot of backdoor cuts. You got a lot of cuts that's going to be in front of him across the foul line, and a lot of jump shots, the the triangle creates a lot of jump shots. It doesn't create a lot of 3 point shots. And you got to understand, LeBron James is only 6'9", and he doesn't have really good feet. And I keep telling people when you are a post player, you have to have real good feet. And you have to have real great talent in the post. LeBron is not that type of person. LeBron James, you even can watch his game. He will not stay in the post that long. He will get out of post and he will probably adjust going back to the 3 point line. Because LeBron likes to be around the 3 point line or around the foul line. He likes to create off his passing. The triangle offense, you have to create off of being double teamed. Like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and even Shaq. You have to create off your double team. And you got to make sure that you can find colors that are coming to the basket. Because that's what Shaq used to do all the time when he played in the triangle offense. People didn't know how great Shaq was a passer. A great passer. Like Michael Jordan, people will say, well, he only averaged like 7 assists in his career. Just think about it. LeBron Jordan started averaging that when he played in the triangle. He never averaged that many assists. When he played point guard, yes, he averaged over 10 assists a game through a year. But the thing was that he brought the ball up. This is for the triangle offense. Now, Jordan gets that opportunity to play in the triangle offense where Jordan could create off his post game. That means he was really great at creating in the post. That means he had good footwork. He had good sense of the double team coming to him so he could pass the ball to the cutter. And he was really good at having other teammates take the double team off of him, even though he didn't have fantastic shooters, but he had shooters that actually could get the ball up. And, he had other great, remember, the Bulls were a great rebounding team. Now, like I said before, where are you going to put LeBron James at in the triangle? You can't put him in the post unless you put him on the 3 point line to be a passer, to pass the ball in the post. Because he did play in the triangle a few times with Shaq. When Shaq was with Miami, he played, but LeBron didn't play too well in the triangle. So they had to go back to their normal offense with LeBron, bringing the ball up. Now, if he was younger and he learned the triangle, maybe. But I think LeBron James don't have the good footwork, to play in the triangle like a Kobe, like a Michael, because they were really, really good at creating space. Because back then it was hard to create space because that was no space in the NBA because it was so congested in the lane. The triangle offense created more space for not just Jordan, it's also for the 3 point shooters and players that are cutting to the basket. And it helped rebounding too because jump shots were like the premium in the NBA because they didn't shoot a lot of threes. So how can LeBron play in the era of non-shooting threes? Remember, LeBron came in around 2004, so they started shooting more threes around that time. So if you would just compact, the way the NBA was so compacted in the lane, you had to have players that could create off the dribble. Like they had to use their handles to create space. Now they were allowed to touch, or allowed to push, allowed to use their hands. But a lot of the NBA basketball players back then learned how to use the dribble to create space. So back then, like I said before, basketball was more physical, more in your face, and more using your hands to force the player to go where you want to go. There wasn't slide no feet. So even if LeBron would have played in the triangle, it would have been harder for LeBron to play in a triangle because LeBron James doesn't create really well off the post. You can even see even in games when LeBron James does a fadeaway, but he walks a lot when he creates his own fadeaway. So he really is not a person that you want to put in that position in that era of your triangle with Shaq, Jordan, and a couple of other players. You could even put DeRozan in the triangle because it's all about spacing and it's all about the jump shot. That's why they say I wouldn't understand why McGrady will say that LeBron would have been the GOAT in the triangle. He would never been the GOAT in the triangle because he would never played in the triangle. Because like I told you, LeBron James is the type of player that brings the ball up. He has to bring the ball up from 90 feet. He can't be coming down there, pass the ball, get in the post, do a fadeaway shot, and run back down the court because LeBron James is really not a great rebounder on offense. People got to know he didn't rebound really well on offense. And a lot of the shots that's going to be created in the post are going to be rebounds that he has to, go and get. Because if you don't have a Dennis Rodman, you don't have a Horace Grant, or he doesn't have, a Ben Wallace or great rebounders around him, which he did back in the day when he had Anthony Davis. He had a couple of other great rebounders, but even if you look at them players, they were never. Now Anthony Davis probably could play in a triangle because Anthony Davis had good footwork, and basically he's a big man, and I think he was a better scorer in the post anyway than LeBron, because LeBron James was never a post player. I keep telling people that people want to argue me down. Yes, he was. He never was a great post player. That's why he always would shoot the most weirdest shots from the 3-point shot to try to shoot jump shots or fadeaway shots that it looks like he's about to fall and bust his ass all the time. But I'm never saying he didn't try. But him being a great player is LeBron attacking the basket, getting to the rim, getting in front of him. That's why I say LeBron James could have been another Shaq if he would have just dominated in the paint and stopped trying to be like this all around player. Because to me, I believe LeBron James was never an all around player. I believe that he was more dominant when he got the ball closer to the basket. That's why it was hard to guard him, and that's why they put him on the line all the time. That's why he was never a great foul shooter, because I believe when he came from high school to college, the high school to pro, he never got an opportunity to shoot a lot of foul shots. And even if he did, he wasn't great at it because his percentage was so low. It was like around 50 to 60%. And then he got it back up around when he got older to like at least about 70%. But he still struggled. And I think that if you're going to be in the post, you're going to be at the foul line a lot. Look at Michael Jordan, look at Kobe Bryant. They got to the foul line a lot. Even Shaq, even though Shaq was a great foul shooter at all, but he got to the foul line. And that really kills you once you get to the foul line and you can't put your team on your back and win games from the foul line like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant had done through their career. Now, like I said, LeBron James to me is not my top 10 because I believe LeBron James should have had done a little bit more as a basketball player, even though he's the highest score player of all time. I really think the points were given to him most of the time because to beat out Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which Kareem didn't get the record until he was like 42, and LeBron broke the record at a younger age because, like I said, it's more scoring, it's more the game is more not congested. LeBron can get to the basket more easier because there's less defense than it was back in the day. Because people forgot Jordan was scoring third all time in scoring. LeBron was third all time. No, I'm talking about LeBron. Kobe was third time in scoring, and what's his name? Karl Malone was second all time in scoring, which he could have broke the record, but he got a little older. Injury prone started coming around him, so he couldn't break the record because he could have got the record, and he could have been in his early 40s getting the record too. But people don't really understand about the NBA. You just can't put players in systems Just like the NFL, you just can't throw players in systems. They got to develop in that system. Jordan had to develop in that system. Kobe Bryant had to develop in that system because Kobe Bryant really didn't play in a triangle at first. It was all about Shaq. Then he started playing in a triangle once Shaq left. Jordan had to be put in that position and asked to play that position because Jordan didn't want to play in a triangle. Jordan wanted to be the scorer. He wanted to have the ball in his hand. He wanted to bring the ball down. He wanted to do, backdoor cuts, get the ball off of backdoor cuts and shoot jump shots or attack the basket and get to the foul line. And then when Jordan started developing the game in the triangle, he started developing the post jumper, which really helped him because people don't understand when you create a move in the post, like Wilt Chamberlain had the same thing, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had their same thing. When you start creating your own shot, that helps you. And Jordan he didn't create the fadeaway. He learned from somebody else about the fadeaway. But when he started using the fadeaway, people don't understand. He started using many, many other techniques with his fadeaway, like the pump fake, the jab move, the hesitation, the spin fake, make people jump, and he started creating double teams. People don't understand. They played a lot of zone in the NBA. People thinking that they played man to man. You couldn't play man to man against the Bulls when they played the triangle. They had to play a lot of zone because they had to have help. When Michael Jordan got the ball basically on the baseline or on the block. When Jordan got the ball on the block, they had to bring double teams way on the other side of the court. That's why you will always see teams will get probably penalized for illegal defenses because Jordan will create so much problems in the post. And he had shooters like Horace Grant and maybe probably B.J. Armstrong or Paxton or a Kerr on the wings. So if Jordan would get double teamed, Jordan can pass the ball to them because they'll be wide open. Or if the double team gets off of Jordan and goes to the shooter can cut back door. Jordan will find them for a layup or they'll get to the foul line. That's what was so great about the triangle, which I keep telling people that it wasn't created from Phil Jackson. It was created from Tex Winters when Tex Winters was in college. And he used that same offense and he brought it to the NBA. And he told Michael Jordan, listen, I got a new way that you can score points without you even hogging the ball. Jordan was like really confused. Like, what do you mean? I'm putting up points all the time. I'm averaging over 30, but you can average 7 assists a game. You can probably average at least about 4 to 5 rebounds a game. You can touch the ball a lot in the triangle by creating for your teammates because Jordan created for his teammates. People don't want to see it that way because, like I said, today's league is all about the 3-point shot. People want to see the three being thrown up from half court. They want to see Kerr. They want to see Curry. They want to see all these players just shoot threes all over the court and not create in the post. That's why the post game is gone. It's not because they don't have big men. They can teach the post. It's just they don't want them to learn the post because they want to say the post is obsolete and don't want to bring that back because they want these big men to shoot 3-point shots like at least 80% of the time. And really, it takes a lot of the basketball. Really, honestly, and I keep telling people basketball started in the post. It started with the big man. So the big man is really honestly the most important piece to a team, not a shooter. People got to understand you got to rebound in basketball. That's why rebounding is down after a lot of years. Offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, even fast breaks are down. And even if you have fast breaks, they took that out the game to slow the pace down in the game. They said they want the game to be more faster. Really, honestly, fast breaks really actually are not in the game like that anymore. People are always running through the 3-point line and not try to create like that's why I love DeRozan. That's why I love Durant. A lot of people don't like these players because they're close to the basket players, they're post players. They know how to shoot the basketball with step shooting on the 3-point line, which their percentage is going to drop. People will say, well, Curry has a higher percentage. If you really look at it, Curry missed more threes than he made. So in his career, he's really not a great 3-point shooter. He's an average 3-point shooter. Yes, he makes his 3-point shots, but you got to look at how many times he has missed in his career. Jump shots are more easier to make because you have a higher percentage and probably more makes than you do the 3-point shots. But people don't want to take 3 point. People don't want to take the jump shot because they look at the 3-point shot as less points. But you gotta actually grind to get 30 points to try to shoot threes, at least in 2 point shots, which Jordan averaged over 30 his whole career by just shooting jump shots and making layups and getting to the foul line. That's why I believe DeRozan could do the same thing, but they took that game away from DeRozan. They tried to take that game away from DeRozan too, which DeRozan is a great jump shooter, and they're trying to do the same thing to Durant, trying to force him to shoot threes. That's why a lot of people don't like Durant because Durant doesn't shoot high value threes like Curry does. Now Curry's high value threes are probably dropping now due to injury, but to me, I think the triangle was the best offense ever created for players that are shooters and probably close to the basket shooters, like players that are probably deeper in the post. Because I used to watch Shaq. Shaq used to get the ball on the block. But see, one thing people don't do nowadays is pass the ball back out the block to the 3 point line and then get closer to the basket to help them get to the foul line. Because, like I said, the foul shot is not what it used to be because you see people shooting less foul shots than they did back in at least about the early 2000s when, foul shooting was very high. And you had players that were like LeBron. LeBron just used to get the foul line all the time, but he wasn't a great foul shooter. Carmelo and Dwayne Wade and many players love to get to the foul line because that's the easiest points to get is from the foul line. But you're starting to see players get themselves away from the foul line and getting themselves away from the jump shot and getting them further away from the basket because they want the oohs and ahs. But to win games nowadays, you're forcing your team that are like down by like 16 to shoot threes to try to catch up to a team that's a better shooting team. And that's what's messing up the game because now you're seeing these basketball players, they have to try to get 3 point shots, probably at least about 2 minutes left in the game, and they're not really great. You only have a few great 3 point shooters in the league, and a lot of people think everybody can shoot a three just because they make two out of three pointers. Now everybody want to shoot massive threes, knowing that the team is not a great 3 point shooting team. If you got a team that's a real great foul shooting team, was there well, not for a foul shooting team, a team that really could actually shoot jump shots, those are the most dangerous teams because once you get down, and plus you probably at least be down about 3 to 4 points, you can catch up because your team will actually try to get to the foul line. Because I don't see a lot of teams try to get to the foul line anymore. It's like they're afraid to get to the foul line. Like their shooting percentage is so bad at the foul line, they keep away from shooting twos or attacking the basket. Now I see a lot of players that are dunking and try to get these fantastic dunks, try to dunk over everybody, but it doesn't mean anything when you get to the foul line and you're 1 for 3 or you're 2 for 10 at the foul line, and your team is down by 15, and you need foul shooting to slow the game down because people got to understand foul shooting slows the game down. Getting to the foul line slows the game down, so it will help your team get back into the game. But since players are more likely to rush a 3 point shot because they think they're open and think they're going to make it just because they got a good percentage. And it's not even about how good your percentage is for the 3 point line because it's a make and miss league. You got to make your threes. And if you miss your threes, you got to make sure that you can get to the foul line and make your foul shots. I see people be making threes like a motherfucker, but when they get to the foul line, they're the worst foul shooting team I ever seen in my life. Like they will airball the foul shot, they will brick the foul shot, and I'm sitting up here like they work on their 3 point shot, but they don't work on their foul shooting. That's what you should work on more often is your foul shooting because at least about I say at least about 60% of the time or 70% of the time you're going to be at the foul line. So why are you sitting there shooting threes all day, knowing that when you get into a game it's much different than you shooting in a quiet building and you're making your threes, and then you get into a wild, crazy building with fans yelling, hollering at you, and telling you you're going to miss and you miss, and now you're sitting up there getting to the foul line and your foul shooting is at least under 50% or 40% or not even just 40%, under 70%, and you need to make these two foul shots to win the game and you miss both of them, and but you're going to talk to the media saying you try to just discount your foul shooting and talk about, well, we lost because we didn't play good as a team. No, you didn't make your foul shots. You got to make your foul shots. That's part of the game. The game is the most important thing in the league is making your foul shots. If you don't make your foul shots, you're going to lose a game. I don't care how many 3-point shots you make. You can make like 53s, have 50 points, go to the foul line, and only make one free throw. And what's that going to do for you? You have 50 points, but you lost the game. But people get excited over that. Even when teams lose the game, they get so excited that when they lose the game, as long as they score 50. No, your team lost because you're a bad foul shooter. Your team lost because you're forcing up threes. Your team lost because you are this man that's a big dude. You're taller than the man that switches with you. Because that's another thing that really drives me crazy about the NBA and how people will say LeBron James can play in a triangle. Number one, if LeBron James get a switch, LeBron James doesn't attack the person that switches with him. This is what I mean. LeBron is 6'9", about 6'8", 6'9". If he gets a player about 6 foot, he will not attack that player. He will pass the ball back out, go back to the 3-point line, and try to break him off the dribble, which LeBron James has no handle whatsoever. And everybody knows LeBron can go right or left. But yeah, of course, he could go right or left. But the thing about it is that you have to take advantage of the player that's in front of you. If he's young, if he's smaller than you, even though he's a great defender, your size matter over that player. So LeBron will pass the ball back out, get back to the 3-point line, and then he'll try to attack the person off the dribble. And it gets me mad because these big players, they always will try to use other methods of scoring, knowing they only had to do one thing: get the ball in the post, turn around, lay the ball up, go back down court, play defense. No, they want to do 60 spin moves. They want to do pump faking. They want to do a jab step. That's why I got crazy about Embiid doing the same fucking thing, because I believe Embiid could have been a great player in a triangle, but you can't use him in a triangle because Embiid does too many pump fakes and he doesn't attack the basket, or he gets double teamed and he loses the ball a lot. That's another thing about being double teamed. You got to know where the double team is coming. And a lot of these teams today play a lot of zone and a lot of switching. So, like I said, back then they did play zone, but a lot of, if you really watch basketball, if you're really a true basketball fan, you will know what double teaming is. Basically, you got to double team in a zone. You can't double team in man, because that would be the most stupidest thing that you do, is double team in a man. Because number one, why would you double team in man, knowing that it's going to be easier for the player that's being double teamed to grab his own rebound, or the other team to get rebounds? Like back in the day, it was like rebound city, because rebounding was the thing that made teams great. Yes, you had a lot of teams that could play defense, play perimeter, play inside, but you had a lot of great rebounders. You don't see it. You only see probably one person that can rebound. He probably has like average like 16 rebounds a game, and the next player behind him is probably averaging only 7. Back then, it was all equal to rebounding, because you had the big man, even you had a small forward or the power forward, even a guard going down there like a Jason Kidd or a Gary Payton, or the big guards that can actually rebound, go down there, grab rebounds, and actually, you know, actually put the team on their backs. I mean, can average a triple double. Today, triple doubles are not really obsolete anymore, but you see a lot of triple doubles because a lot of guards are grabbing rebounds now. You don't see forwards, power forwards leading rebounding. You see a lot of guards that are up there rebounding, like two guards and point guards. That makes me feel like the game has changed from, being a game of dominance in the paint. Now everybody's spreading the floor, and you don't see a lot of players cutting to the basket. They're staying on the 3-point line. Once they come down to the basket, they'll stay on the 3-point line. That's why I'm saying LeBron James could not play in the triangle. Now, McGrady could play in the triangle because McGrady is a scorer. He's a post player. He could actually play in the post. LeBron is not a post player, and I don't want people to get on me about that, because you can even see in this game for the last few years, he's trying to be a post player. He's trying to get the ball in the post, because I even see before Anthony Davis got traded to the Mavericks, that one time LeBron James was actually trying to play in the post. But I think LeBron James doesn't know how to play in the post, because you gotta look at it. You gotta get spacing to pass the ball in the post. And LeBron really is not playing in the block. That means he's playing closer to the basket. He plays like away from the block and more closer to the 3-point line. So even if he gets a cutter, he can pass the ball when the player is cutting to the basket. He doesn't really play in the block. I mean, that block that actually is right there between the basket and the paint. He doesn't get down there. And even if he passes the ball back out, he doesn't get closer to the basket like I said Shaquille O'Neal would do. When Shaq will get the ball in the post, Shaq will pass the ball back out to the 3 point line, and then Shaq will get his way down the post. No matter who is guarding him, he will get closer to the basket so he could turn around, lay the ball up, or he could dunk it with one or two hands, or he could get to the foul line, which Shaq really didn't care about getting to the foul line because at least he tried to get his foul shots, even though that he was close to a 60% foul shooter, in his career. But he got a little up during near the end of his career because he tried. But you got a lot of players today don't want to be in the post. So I don't know where McGrady get this thing at saying that LeBron can be a post player. You got to develop your post game at a young age, like Kobe Bryant did and Michael Jordan did when they were young, when they were in their early 20s. You can't develop a post game in your 30s. Now you have Chris Paul, like I said, is a great post player as a guard. Jason Kidd was a great post player as a guard. Even Stockton, even Gary Payton, great post players, but they didn't play in a triangle. So it's differently when Jordan was playing as a two guard slash small forward in the triangle. And like I said, Jordan will come down and place himself in the post. LeBron will not do that. LeBron James will come down with the basketball. He will look for his cutters first, then probably he'll move around to the post, but he'll get out the post and go back where he felt comfortable, which is around the 3 point line or around the key or around the free throw line, where he has a better chance to see cutters because he never was really good with his back to the basket, trying to figure out who's cutting to the basket. Because I think LeBron James gets the ball in the post, the first thing he's going to do is try to fade away from the basket, which that's really bad for him because he can't rebound his own shot. And a lot of players are going to foul him in the post because he's not a great foul shooter. And I believe if you're going to play in a triangle, you have to be a great foul shooter. And I'm not talking about Shaq because Shaq was the worst. But you have to have like Kobe, LeBron, McGrady, players that are great players, or DeRozan, Chris Paul, players that can actually turn their back to the basket, be physical at the point of attack, and doesn't care to get to the foul line and take them free throws. LeBron James was afraid of free throws. He didn't want to be at the foul line. It's been proven throughout his career. People love to talk about how old he is and all that kind of stuff. That don't mean a damn thing in basketball because I see a lot of players today that play basketball out in the street. They're in their 60s shooting threes and still making them and playing basketball real well at the age of 40 and 50 years old. It doesn't mean it. I know the NBA is a lot different, but you can't say that none of the players of the past could probably still play basketball to this very day, especially if you're getting paid for it. You're getting multiple checks for these basketball games, and you get these game checks that are worth millions, and you're going to play. Now, I don't know why LeBron James won't retire. He has nothing to prove. He won titles. He wants to be this player that plays for 1,000 years, like how he wants to win a championship because Brady won a championship with the bat with the not the Bengals, my fault, with the Buccaneers at the age of 43, I think, or 44. He wants to reach that echelon of Tom Brady, which he can't do because Tom Brady has 7 championships. LeBron only has four. So LeBron is still trying to chase Jordan with these six or chase Kobe with these five. And it's it's really tarnishing his career. He's older now. Let the younger players, like you still have Durant, you still have all these older players that are NBA that won't retire. It's like they're afraid to lose their legacy to these younger players. They're not giving these younger players chances. They need to go. They need to retire. LeBron needs to pack up his shit and say, you know what, I had a great career. I'm a first ballot Hall of Famer. Nobody's going to catch up with me probably years from now. I'm happy to play in the NBA as long as I played. I'm happy to make these big checks off these and help me with my life to change my sons and my sons' lives around to help them develop their game, or even if they don't want to play basketball, and help them become something else. But you gotta let these young players play. They're talking about the past too much about, well, LeBron could have done this in the past. We don't know what LeBron would have could have done in the past because he didn't play in the 90s. We don't know what Jordan would have done in the 2000s because he only played up to 2004. So we don't know what Jordan would have done in 2025 because he would have never been. Because number one, draft is different. Everything is different now. Workouts are different. Jordan probably would have been probably a number one pick, but we would have never known what he would have done in college. So we need to leave that alone of what these players could have done in the past, what these players could have done in the future. We don't know. Just let these players have their legacy and let them retire. I'm sick and tired of seeing LeBron. I'm sorry. Like he played 20 something years. It's like I was getting sick and tired of seeing Tom Brady. He played over 20 years. Why won't I want to see these new young athletic players come in the league and dominate and see what they can do? Let's see how many championships can they win. Can they break LeBron's records? Can they break Tom Brady's records? We'll never know because they never get an opportunity. It is so sad that these players are hanging on this little rope that's being about to pop, and they won't let these young players play. And I'm getting sick and tired of the younger generation saying, "Oh, we're going to miss LeBron." No, we're not. We're going to know everything about LeBron because LeBron's legacy is always cemented. Just like Michael, Kobe, they're already cemented. So why the hell will we forget about these players? But they're going to talk about these players years to come. We're always going to know about LeBron. We're always going to learn about Curry. We're always going to learn about Durant. We're going to learn about all these players because their legacy is cemented. Why the hell do we need to have these players play 16, 17 more years to see them have gray beards to prove that they can play longer than the past players? That's not going to ever do anything for the younger generation because you're going to see the younger generation not play the game for the game. They're going to play the game for the money because, like I said, there's going to be a player that's going to be one day that's going to make $1 billion in the NBA. It's already happening that you got fat boxers about to make billions of dollars boxing. And these are no name boxers that are coming into the league and making a lot of money, and they really didn't prove themselves yet. And a lot of these NBA players that are going to be coming off the bench, they're not going to be great scorers. They're going to have problems in the NBA because a lot of these players are going to leave young because they're going to stack their money and they're going to only want to do is podcasts. They're not going to want to do NBA games, play 82 games, unless they cut down the league like they did before to 70 something games. And these players probably would want to play because it's sad how the NBA had to cut down for these players their schedule to let these players play for 70 something games. And it really messed up the game and made a lot of players in the older days want to know why that these players that are younger, more athletic, don't want to play longer seasons, and they're making a lot more money than the players of the past. And the game is much easier to play because the game is more spacing, and the game is more or less physical. You can get to the line much easier. You can shoot threes much easier. You can trap much easier. You can do a lot more in the NBA than you could do back in the 90s or back in the 80s or even back in the 60s. Because people say, well, the game was much easier to play in the 60s. Well, it really wasn't much easier to play in the 60s because it was a lot more physical back then, too, because the game, the refereeing was a lot different because it wasn't that many rules than it is probably today, where the rules are more prone for the defense to be taken out the game, like the NFL, than it is for, back in the 90s, where the game was basically based on playing more physical, allowing the teams to play, physical. And the game is like the game. I can watch basketball, but I can't watch basketball too long like I used to because the game is not fun as it used to be because it's too many commercials. There's too many it's too many, I mean, players doing podcasts, and there's not enough basketball. Like you could just say, let me go to NBA access like they used to have in the back in the day, and the game was like you couldn't wait for a game to come on that Thursday or that Friday or that Saturday or that Sunday on NBC or ABC or even Channel 17 when they had your local games. When you had your local games, you couldn't wait to see the Knicks, the Bulls, the Nets, or the Heat, or the Houston Rockets or the Spurs. You couldn't wait to see these games because they were nationally televised. Now you having these games you're just throwing on TV to say, hey, everybody want to see LeBron James play against Curry, knowing it's not LeBron versus Curry. Oh, Durant versus Westbrook. It's not Westbrook versus Durant because they don't guard each other. So Basically, you will have the players of the past, you know who was guarding who. You knew the game was going to be exciting. You couldn't wait to see Michael Jordan versus the Knicks or the Knicks versus the Heat. You couldn't wait to see these games. You couldn't wait to see the physicality, the shit talking, or to see Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, or see Xavier McDaniels versus, my boy that you talk about all the time now. They interview all the time. I mean, but you couldn't wait to see these games because these games were naturally televised, and you know these games were going to be physical. You knew these games were going to be absolutely fun. There was going to be more attack to the basket, back to the basket, post, less 3 point shots, more defense, more rebounding, more fun, more refereeing. You know, even referees used to talk shit to the players. Referees used to argue with the players through technicals, and it was a shock when you see players get kicked out of games or coaches get kicked out of games. Coaches actually fighting for their players when they get a foul call. You don't see it in the NBA that much anymore because the NBA is built off of, commercializing the game and all about making money off of players in these commercials. And, they got to show, what I mean, these iPhones, these cell phones, and they got to show technology all through the commercials. And you can't wait the game to come on now. You got NBA access. Now you can actually see the timeouts and the players sitting around not doing nothing during a timeout. And you see the coaches try to talk to them. You see the actual players ignoring the coaches and shit, and you see fans are getting bored and they're not interested in the game no more like they used to be interested in the game in the past, where fans were actually the most important piece of the damn game. And you don't see it anymore. And the game to me, you can't tell me certain players can play in certain systems. Like I say in the NFL, you cannot say certain players can play in certain systems in the NFL and even in the NBA or even in any sport. You can't just force these players to play in these certain systems. Now, I got a little shock of hearing Tracy McGrady, one of my favorite players ever, talk about, yeah, I could play with Shaq. Yes, anybody can play with fucking Shaq. Even Michael Jordan could have played with Shaq and won titles. But the thing about it is that you can't put yourself in that position to say that, oh, I'm the only one that could take Kobe out of that and put me in there. I could have won championships. We would never know because, like I said before, Shaq was a different player. Shaq had to get the ball. You had to feed Shaq the ball. That's why the coach, Phil Jackson will say, listen, we need to get Shaq the ball because he's getting disgruntled. We need to feed the beast. So Kobe was like, okay. And then he will feed Shaq. Then, it will open up the whole game for other players. But playing a triangle is the most difficult offense to play in because, like I said, you got to have your back to the basket and you got to be cautious of the double team. You got to be aware of people cutting to the basket from backdoor. You gotta have your eyes open, and even you have to have great shooters around you. To me, LeBron James had great shooters around him, but you gotta understand, LeBron James only cared about himself, and he really didn't trust the players around him too much because you even heard a lot of players say that LeBron James had trust issues. Even though LeBron James could get a triple double, which that was rare most of the time. One time he led the league in scoring. Okay, that's rare. But the thing about it is that LeBron James had to develop a game in a triangle. Because, like I said, you can't force players in these systems. Because, like I said, LeBron had to learn the system and he had to be dedicated to the system. And he had to learn from Tex Winters. Like I said, he never had Phil Jackson as coach. He never had Tex Winters as one of his coaches. So he would never had an opportunity to learn that offense because his offense was predicated on bringing the ball down and passing the ball, or he will have somebody else bring the ball down and he will come off a pick and roll and he will get the ball on the 3 point line or a high pick and roll. He will do a high pick and roll, get to the basket probably with a layup, or probably he will probably find a cutter, because there's a lot of movement. If LeBron James didn't have a lot of movement in his offense, LeBron James would just be a standstill player. LeBron had to have a lot of movement in his offense. He had to have a lot of cutters, and he had to have a lot of great shooters. Now, like I said, Jordan didn't have a lot of great shooters, even though people say, well, he had Kerr, he had Paxton, he had B.J. Armstrong, he had Craig Hodges, he had Vincent, he had other great shooters. Yes, he did have great shooters, but when you play in that triangle offense, you have to have great shooters around you. So, and you have to have poise playing in that offense, playing in the post to create off your dribble or off the post. Like I said, Jordan was such an amazing player in the post that he could create off, his own shot. Like he could create pump fakes, make people jump, pass the ball. Like he could do things that other players couldn't do in the post, like a Kobe could do. See, but Kobe Bryant was a different player in the post because Kobe Bryant would do a lot of pump fakes in his post. Jordan didn't do a lot of pump fakes in his post. He did a lot of movement. Like he will do a lot of spin moves and he will actually make players come and try to double team. Like I will say a billion times, they did play zone in the 90s. It's just people have to see it. When the Bulls played, Jordan had gotten double teamed a lot. A lot. So people will say, well, LeBron got no. Jordan got double teamed a lot. It was just Jordan was so good of getting out of the double team. That means he will fade away from the double team, or he'll find a cutter that he can pass the ball to when the double team comes. That's who will average probably 5 or 6 assists because he will create, well, the double team will help him create passing lanes. For also not just for him to get the ball off of him off the double team, it will help him create off of his players cutting to the basket through the back door or from the foul line, from the key down or the 3 point down. He will get his players to get. You didn't know how good that he had gotten his players to the foul line. He will actually get his players to the foul line just because they will cut to the basket. That's how great Jordan was getting his players involved in the triangle because it's very hard. Even if you play it on 2K, the triangle is very hard because there's a lot of double teaming coming from all the purposes. You can even play if people play with Shaq in a triangle. Watch how hard it is for Shaq to get to the basket because Shaq will get double teamed. And Shaq will have to create passing lanes for his teammates or his players have to create for him to get the ball out of his hand so he won't get double teamed because they will actually foul him on purpose. This is the reason why I love the triangle offense. I think it's the greatest offense ever created for players that are post players that actually can shoot jump shots in the post and create in the post, or good centers that actually, like a Shaq, that actually, like I believe that a Jokic could probably play in a triangle. I believe that probably um, Luca could play in a triangle because these players are shooters, and Luca's probably a great example of a triangle offense player because I believe if Luca could get the ball in a triangle and create off the post, he was a great jump shooter. Knowing that he was a great passer, also people great know that Luca could pass, and if he has great shooters around him, he will play amazingly in the post. Like I said, like a Joker, he will be able to play in the post. Anthony Davis, I believe he could play in the triangle because he was a great post player. People didn't see him in the post a lot because they didn't give him the damn ball when he was in the post because LeBron James always will have the ball in his hand. And when Anthony will get the ball in the post, he will actually give you at least about 20 to 30 points. But you will have to give them the ball in the post like a Kobe Bryant that could create. And Kobe was a great shooter from the 3 point line too. Jordan wasn't a great 3 point shooter because that wasn't in his arsenal, but Kobe was a great 3 point shooter. So that's why he was also great in the triangle because he could pick and pop. That means he could get in the triangle and then he could pop back out and have somebody else come in the triangle like a Harper or Horace Grant or a Horry or Fox that can jump in that freaking triangle and create for Kobe to sit out there on the 3 point line. And they can actually, because you have to double in the freaking triangle, that will create Kobe to get open threes because this man will leak off and double in the post, but he probably wouldn't actually leak off that far because they know Kobe could create off the dribble or create from the 3 point line. That means he can attack the basket, get into the lane, and get to the foul line, which it was crazy about Kobe Bryant, which he was really so great at doing, and Michael and many other players that can create off the dribble. Like I said, a lot of players today, like a Kyrie, they couldn't play in a triangle. Curry couldn't play in a triangle because they're more likely to try to create off the dribble. And that's what Curry does, and that's what Kyrie does. They always try to create off the dribble. So they'll try to do one, two, three, or four, six, seven, eight dribbles to get in the lane because in the post, you didn't need to dribble. You really didn't need, you just catch and shoot. Or if you did want to dribble, you dribble off of a pump fake spin move or whatever to try to create space. Like I said, because the NBA back in the past was so congested, that's why they created the triangle offense to get more spacing for the player that's going to be in the post and the shooters they're going to be probably on the 3 point line or to be cutters. That's why I believe that LeBron could not play in a triangle. He was great in the offices that he played in. Bring the ball up, pick and pop, probably do high post, probably do a couple low posts, probably get himself in the triangle, not the triangle, get in the post, probably take a dribble fade away. But that was really bad for him because he wasn't a great rebounder on offense. He was really good at passing because LeBron James is one of the greatest passers of all time. I can't take it away from him. But I think that you have to keep him in the position that he was always good at. Him bringing the ball down court, him watching his cutters from a distance, probably get into the post and probably create passing through the post because LeBron didn't get double teamed that much in the post because he wasn't a great post player. The order to get double teamed in the post, you had to be a great post player. And LeBron was not that great of a post player. That means that when he probably was great, probably in the high post, but even in the high post, he wasn't that great because, like, I always believe, like, if you look at, um, like, you look at Kevin Garnett, great high post player, a Tim Duncan, great high post player, because they were already on the high post and they will turn around and will shoot that jump shot. They were really great at it. But low post, I don't think they were great in the low post because, like I said, when you bring that double team and you turn your back, they can hard double team you. Now, Tim Duncan wasn't a great foul shooter. Everybody looked at Kevin Garnett, but Kevin Garnett was an average foul shooter too. So you could keep them. They would try to keep themselves off the foul line. But if you have great foul shooters that actually play the low post, that actually doesn't care about getting to the foul line, they will stay in that low post. Yeah, they'll play the high post a little couple of times, but they will get down snugged in that low post and they will create off the low post. That's why I believe that if you put LeBron down there, LeBron will get uncomfortable and will get out of the low post and probably get back to the 3 point line that he felt comfortable doing. And that's what he does. If you can see in his career now that he's more likely going to three three on the 3 point line than he's going to be in the post because he feels uncomfortable. And I'm not saying it's wrong to feel uncomfortable because that's going to put him on the foul line. And he doesn't want to play in the foul line. Now, I believe if LeBron was younger and he would have been in the post because he was in the post a lot when he was younger. But when they took him out the post, I really think that he didn't want to get back down there anymore. And I think that LeBron could have dominated because I believe that he's a younger Shaq when he was younger because I believe when he played for the Miami Heat, I think that's when he was the most dominant player in basketball at that time. But once they took away his game, because I believe they took away LeBron's game, which is him dominating in that post, once they did the same thing that Carmelo Anthony, because they were saying he was playing too physical down there, and they didn't like that about Carmelo. They wanted Carmelo to be more of a jump shooter. When they started seeing Carmelo shoot, they say, you know what, we're going to put Carmelo deeper near the 3 point line. That's why you start seeing Carmelo shooting a lot of bad shots, and it took away from his real game. Like I believe that he was a younger Charles Barkley that was down there in that post giving people hell. Even Kobe Bryant said that he didn't want to play. He didn't want to play Carmelo in the post. LeBron said the same thing that he didn't like being down there with Carmelo in the post because Carmelo was so fucking physical. And when you take away players' games like they try to do all these NBA players by forcing them to be something that they're really not. Like you can't force LeBron to be a jump shooter, which he's not. You can't force you can't force Kyrie Irving to be a 3 point shooter, which Kyrie's not. You know what I mean? Kyrie likes to attack the basket and get to the foul line. Those are the type of players that when they try to take their game away from them, like they try to take their game away from Durant and forcing Durant being more of a jump shooter, which Durant is, but Durant could do a lot more than just being a jump shooter. He was great in the post. People didn't know how great Durant was in the post. I think he could play in the triangle. Durant could shoot jump shots. Durant was an all around shooter on the floor, but they try to force Durant to be something that he's not. And that's why a lot of people don't like Durant because Durant is not trying to be what everybody else want to be, like these 3-point shooters and doing all these fancy moves. Durant want to get to the basket because Durant is a great foul shooter, but they don't like Durant in his game. I love Durant's game. I always loved Durant's game, even when he played in Texas college. He was a great player, but you start taking away as they get older. You start taking away certain, the way they used to play, and now you're starting to see them doing a lot less of what they used to do in the past. That's the reason why basketball is not really what it used to be like it was in the past. I'm not taking away from this younger generation. They got the AAU. They got a lot of basketball that they're playing, but it's not developing to be an NBA game. It's more developing to be street basketball slash college basketball. That's why a lot of these kids don't stay in the league long, or they're coming off the bench, or they're shooting a lower percentage shot that they didn't do in college, or they're changing their game around that they didn't used to play in high school or college just to make the NBA, because you got to change your game around to make the NBA now, because it's sad, because now you got these players shooting shots and doing things that they never did in the NBA that they did in college. Now they don't have that same game, and it's bad. And now you're seeing these players coming off the bench. Now they're saying, well, these players are really good coming off the bench. No, they're not. They're just throwing up shots to say, okay, let's play horse. I'm going to see if I can make this shot. Let's see if you can do the same thing. This is what the NBA is now. It's nothing but a horse league. Everybody copycatting. They're not developing their own game like they did in the past, like the Michael Jordans, like the Wilt Chamberlains, like the Elgin Baylors, like the Jerry Wests, or you can even go back down closer to the Karl Malones and a lot of players that develop their own game to help their help them stay in the league long. Like I said, they took away LeBron's game. They took away Durant's game. They took away Kyrie's game. They're taking away these games from these players of what they used to do in the past. And they're trying to say, well, you need to do this now. Well, I was really good at average this many points. Well, we want you to average more. Let's see if you can average this many points. That's why you see so many 50-point games. Who want to see a whole bunch of 50-point games? Yes, they didn't average that many points a game back then. Jordan averaged under 30, average 30 points a game, but you still have it today that players are putting up shots and they still don't average the same amount of points that Jordan did when Jordan was shooting jump shots. Like LeBron is averaging 27 points a game for his career, and he still haven't even touched the marks of Wilt Chamberlain. And you still have Luka, probably the all-time probably leader in scoring and probably in the playoffs. I think he's second behind Jordan. But the thing is that Luka been playing the game ever since he was 15, and he still does the same thing ever since he was 15. They're not trying to take his game away from him because he's not going to let them take his game away from him. That's why I love Luka, and that's why he's my favorite player in basketball, because he's doing what basketball is supposed to do. You're supposed to play offense. You're supposed to score the basketball any which way you can score. Now he doesn't play defense, which I really think he can play defense, but I really think he got lazy playing defense because they told him, look, don't play no defense, just score. Because in the NBA today, you can put up 50 points and you can probably average one steal a game. It doesn't matter. You're still going to be looked at as your offense, not your defense. And that makes Luka look really terrible on defense because sometimes he really doesn't play defense. And you start to see it in the LeBron. You start to see it in many other players that don't play defense. I'm not saying everybody doesn't play defense because you got some players out there that will go out there and play defense and probably put up like at least about 19 points, but they'll probably get like 15 rebounds and what I mean. But they'll hustle on defense. But a lot of players, the bigger name stars, they're not looking at defense anymore as anything to play nowadays. They're looking at offense as, oh, if I put up 50 points, people are going to still love me and look at me as an offensive scorer. But you're seeing LeBron do it. You're seeing Curry do it. You start to see a lot of players saying, well, forget defense. Let me go up, put up 30, 40, 50 points. And the fans will love me just for that. And then we'll have debate about my offense and not my defense and my rebounding, which really honestly that you should be working on in the off season. Because as you get older, you should be able to rebound more and more, get more assists more, because the game is slowed down for you through the years that you've been playing. The game is not speeded up anymore. The game is still slow. The game is slowing down for you, and that's what makes this game so bad, because the commissioner is telling everybody score, score, score. Don't worry about the defense. We'll let the younger generation play defense. We'll tire them out while we'll let the older generation sit on their asses and let them just shoot jump shots all day or 3 point shots all day. They're trying to get 50 or 60 points a game. And you can't do that type of shit, Wilt Chamberlain shit anymore, because, like I said, the game is built differently. The rules are built differently. So you can't get the 50, 60 to 100 points a game like Wilt Chamberlain did. You could probably get 50 points. You probably get average over 30, but you can't get the Wilt Chamberlain points. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get these Wilt Chamberlain points, which they need to stop trying to do. They're just trying to need to play some defense, rebound, get some assists, get some points on the board, win the game, and go about your business to the next game. But it's so hard to do that because, like I said, these players are taught how to just put the ball in the basket and not play the other side of the basket. And Jordan even said it. You got to play both sides of the ball. You have to learn how to play defense too. Offense ain't just part of the game in basketball. You got to learn how to play defense. You got to learn how to box out. You got to learn how to attack the basketball off a rebound. You got to learn how to, play the pick and roll. You got to learn how to double team. You got to learn how to do all these things, because playing defense is much harder than playing offense. By playing a basketball in a basket defense is much harder because you got to do more movement. You got to see eyeballs. You got to move around. You got to make sure that you play the basket or taking a charge or challenging the shot or try to block the shot. You'll be or blocking out, rebounding. And not try to fall out of bounds and throw the ball out of bounds. And basketball is such a great sport when you play both sides of the ball, because I get excited when people play both sides of the ball. Somebody goes down, lays the ball up, they go back down there, play hard on defense. That is the best thing to see a teammate do, except them go down there and make a layup. Next thing you know, they go back down there and they just let the team that they're playing make a whole bunch of layups on them. And they're trying to go back and forth. Oh, I can score too. Watch me hit this three, bag. Oh, watch me hit a three, bag. Whoa, watch me hit a three, bag. And you're sitting up there. Is anybody going to play any fucking defense? Like, defense is part of the game also too. You got to stop the offender from scoring. You gotta put your effort in stopping the other team from scoring. Oh, I'm too tired for that. I don't want to rebound. I don't want to block shots. I don't want to take a charge. I don't want to defend the pick and roll. I don't want to come and help double team or triple team or trap. I don't want to do all that. I want to go down here, sit on the 3 point line, and shoot a whole bunch of threes. No, you can't do that. That's not basketball. Basketball is both sides of the ball. And I'm trying to get this younger generation to learn that, but they don't want to do that. I can't play basketball now because due to my health problems, but to watch these kids play is very sad, because I believe these kids can play both sides of the ball and dominate. But it seems like they don't want to do that because, like I said, Curry, Durant, Kyrie, and many of these players that play offense really took away the defensive part of the game. And it's kind of sad. But I'm not saying Curry doesn't play no defense. And I'm not saying that Kyrie won't play no defense, because they will play defense when they need to play. But, and I'm not saying Durant doesn't play defense, because I see Durant get into people's bodies before on defense and actually will defend the basket and play really well. But I'm just saying, like, as the game gets more prone to offense, where will defense be in the future of basketball? Will they actually take the game of defense away from the players that can actually make these teams that can play defense? It's like you're taking away special teams from the NFL players, knowing they only can make the team through special teams, and you take that away from them, they won't have a job. Just like on defense, like in basketball, you take away defense, a lot of these players won't have a job, because a lot of these players in the NBA or even in college or even in high school don't play defense. Offense is their meal ticket, or they can play defense, but they can't play offense. Their defense is their meal ticket to make the NBA or make college. Are you going to take that away from them? I just wanted to make a video about Durant, not Durant, about the triangle offense of LeBron James. I really think that was really shocking to me to see that McGrady will say that's his opinion. He has the right to his own opinion. But to see him playing a triangle, it's not what you want to see LeBron do. You want to see LeBron James play in a basic offense that he could create off his passing. You know, because he's a great passer. You know, and he's great attacking the basket. Now, you know, he's missing a lot of layups, a lot of dunks. Back in the past, yeah, okay, he was more dominant, getting to the basket, more ambidextrous, left, getting to the basket, getting to the foul line. But he's not that way anymore because players are more likely to be more physical with him now, and he don't like the physicality to the game as he used to like it because he's older. But I think putting him in the triangle is not a good choice. Keep LeBron James out of the triangle. Let him do what he usually has been doing for the last past 20 years, and I think that he's going to just maintain that part of him for the rest of his career till he is forced to retire, which they should force his ass to retire now. Bless to everybody.